Hey everyone. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to create a simple database using the entity framework code first approach on .NET Core .NET Core 8, of course, um, uh, in the MVC and using the SQL Server. So we can start by creating a new project that you can open up the Visual Studio and then create a new project, right? And up here, you can filter it out by the language, C Sharp, right? The first one, and selecting the web. And then down, if you scroll down, you can see something like this. So you can see ASP.NET Core Web App that is in the MVC model view controller, right? We are going to create a new project on this one. So you can name them like um, EF demo, EF demo. Yeah, we can name it EF demo. We can choose any path we want, right? And yeah, click on next, and then on the framework, you can see .NET 6. You might have like the previous version of the .NET framework as well, and .NET 8. You might be wondering what happened to 7. So it's outdated, and .NET 6 and .NET 8 are long term support, and .NET 8 is the latest one. Of course, in the November, the .NET 9 will be released soon. And yeah, on the authentication type, what we can do is we can choose none at the moment because we are going to configure everything by ourselves. Yeah, you can choose the individual account. You can use the Microsoft Identity Platform for the Azure Active Directory, which is now renamed as the Microsoft Entra. Let's not talk about that. Yeah, so if you want some kind of like a user authentication by default, you can choose individual accounts so that you don't have to worry about creating the login page and all sort of things. These already has the template, so right now we are not worrying about that one. We are going to create the authentication type none, and then we are going to create it. So as we create, yep, there are a few other things, the settings, let's not worry about that, leave it as it is. And then you can see like there are a couple of folder controllers, models, views which reflect the MVC over here, right? And here on the program.cs, you can see some sort of like code right here. And now, yes, now to have the entity framework set up, what we have to do is we have to download few packages. So the packages would be you can open up like this packages by right click on this project and then manage the NuGet packages, right? And here on the browse, what you can do is you can type the entity framework. Okay, so entity framework, since we are using that .NET framework, uh, .NET Core, we are going to use this entity framework code. This entity framework is for the .NET framework, which is specific, especially for the Windows. So we are using Core at the moment. So we are going to install this package. Okay, and yes. Ah, I accept. Yes. So entity framework core, and then another one called SQL Server, right? Because we are using a SQL Server, and yes, we are going to apply this. I accept, and for the since we are using code first approach, we are going to install this package as well. This core design. Okay. So after you install these three packages, um, yeah. ah, so after you install these three packages, what we have to do is now we have to go and on this app settings.json, what we can do is we can create a new field called connection strings like this, right? And then give a key value called default at the moment, right? And we are going to leave this a blank for a while. And now let's create a blank database on the SQL Server side. So it totally depends. Like you can open it up from the Visual Studio itself, or you might install this. You might have the SQL Management Studio, right? And you can use this as well. But let's not worry about this. So we can use SQL Server within this Visual Studio, right? It doesn't matter. So if you don't see SQL Server Object Explorer, you can just search for this one, right? And then you can search for the feature called SQL Server Object Explorer. Okay, and then here you can add uh, add your um, um, SQL Server instance from here. So on the local, I have this one, right? I have three of them. So two of them MS SQL Local DB and the projects model are installed as you install the Visual Studio. And this one is something that I have installed by myself, SQL Express. And yeah, we can use this, and we can use, okay, now we have to use this as a true. Sorry, my bad. Yeah. So after I do this, I think it was already there. So yeah, yeah, I think this one it was. This one is a different one. I can disconnect this one. Disconnect. Yep. And now in this SQL Express, what I can do is I have to create a blank database, and I will name this as, okay, EF demo DB, right? And you can you can generate the connection string from here itself, right? So what you have to do is we have to expand here, okay? Expand this EF demo DB, the database that we created right away. And on the properties, you can see here the connection string. So what happens is, if you don't expand that one, you may not see the connection string, and most of the time we get confused. So let's say if I right click on these properties, I don't see anything, right? So if I expand this and see the properties, I will able to see the connection strings and all sort of things, all sort of, you know, necessary informations. So I'm going to copy this connection string, Control C, and then paste it over here. Okay, and now the database has been created, a blank database. We don't have any tables, as you see, right? You can see there are no tables at all, right? And okay, the next thing is we are going to connect, create a context that would be the behave as a connector of the database. Okay, so we are going to add this in a new folder called data. Usually you can keep it anywhere, but I prefer to use data folder. And yeah, and on this I'm going to add a new item, and then a blank class called, let's say, ef demo context, ef context demo. Okay, ef demo context. The reason why we put context is the standard one. You can keep it any name you want. It's not that uh it's not that mandatory. And the next thing is we are going to inherit the context class with our DB context. Okay, and if you don't find it, you can simply do control dot, and then you can see, okay, using Microsoft dot entity framework core. Okay, and then after we do this, we are going to create a constructor, and within this constructor, what I'm going to do is DB context options. Okay, DB context option with our EF demo context. Okay, and I will name this as a variable as options. Okay, and then on the base, I'm going to pass this options. Okay, and here we have our database connected. And now the next thing, we are going to add the connection string to this context, because right now it doesn't reflect, it doesn't know, right, whether to connect to which database to connect it. So we are going to add that in the startup. Okay, so here I will get the connection string first. Okay, connection string first is equals to builder dot um, configurations dot get connection string, and within the connection string I will choose the keyword default. Right, you can keep like multiple connection strings. We can have this multiple connection strings over here. Okay, and it's up to us like which one we want to choose. So right now our key is named as default, so that's why I named it as a default over here. Now the next thing we are going to do is we are going to add um, we are going to connect our EF demo context with this connection string. So for this, we are going to write a piece of code called builder.services dot add DbContext. Okay, add DbContext, and within this DbContext, we are going to do EF demo context. Okay, and now we are going to uh, write down our options, something like this. Okay, uh, and the semicolon here, and within the options we are going to use SQL Server and the connection string that we just created, connection string. Okay, so yeah, so these two lines, now our code, our EF demo context is now connected to this connection string. Okay, and now it's time to create some models and link it with the EF demo context. Okay, so for this, what I have to do is like I'm going to create a two classes, um, two class. So one of the class I would create is okay product, right? And here, uh, public int id, I'm going to give it as the int id. So when we give this int id, what happens is it automatically, this entity framework, what it would do is it would recognize this, the term id, and make it primary key by itself. But if you have a different name and that you want to create a primary key, you can define something like this as an attribute. So if you don't even write this, I mean, the entity framework will automatically recognize this as a primary key. Okay, so better you define it, right? And the next thing is like we have public string name. Okay, so when I do this, it will when I do string on the database side, it will define n varchar max. Okay, because there is no number defined. And if I want to limit this name to 20 words, 20 characters, sorry, 20 quick characters, what I can do is I can use some property like max length, and then within the bracket I can define the size, right? And in order to make this as required, what I can do is I will pass this as required. So now this becomes required. If you don't pass it, it can uh, it can hold null in the database also. So these are the attributes. These are actually known as the attributes. Okay. And the next thing, okay, I'm going to add public string and then description. Description. Okay. And it can be like maximum numbers, any characters. Okay. So, and the next one I'm going to do is public class and then um, orders, order table, right? And public int id, right? And if you do int here, the identity within the database will be 1, 1, which means every time the new record is created, it will automatically add the data, this primary key increases by 1. You know that with um, Yeah. So, and then public, daytime, uh, daytime, order date. What I will do is I will by default, if there are no order date defined, what I can do is I can define something like this is equals to daytime. So this will be the default value within the model. All right. And yeah, and now I want to make it the foreign key. Okay. So that becomes simple. So public int product ID, because one, we know that we actually know the rule of the foreign key and the primary key, right? So if you don't know, what you need to understand is if I want to make this as a foreign key, um, if I want to mark this as a foreign key, so the data types would be same, right? Since we are using the product key, product, this one, product table, it has the primary key of the type int, so this would be int. Okay, but right now it's not linked, it's just a column name. And if I need to create a foreign key, what I will do is public virtual product, and then uh give any name, product. Yeah, after doing this, what I will do is I will make this as a foreign key for the name product id, this one. I will type it down here. So that means now this product, okay, this product, there can be multiple, multiple this int field. And if I want to make this as a foreign key, if I want to mark this as a foreign key, uh, it needs to be defined to which type. Okay, so this one is of the type of the product. Okay, so yeah, and here what we can do is we can do reverse um, reference. So public I collection. Okay, so I collection of products. Okay, you can do it something like this. So that means if you have the product ID, you can actually get all the list of the products. Okay, you can actually get all the list of the products. So this is how we define the model. You can define it as per your need. All right, so once you do this, okay, now it's time to link these two tables in our context. So what I will do is I will, after the constructor, I will create a new property called public dbset of uh, product, uh, product, yep, product, and then name it as a products, and then public dbset of order, and I will name this as a orders, and then get set. You can name it as per your need. Now the whole thing is completed. The next thing is quite important. Okay, you can go to your developer PowerShell. Okay, so the folder is EF demo. So if you do ls over here, you can see there is the EF demo folder, right? You can do it over here also, like directly, but I would prefer going inside the folder, so I will go EF demo, right? So that it becomes clear that I'm using this project. And now what I would do is .NET EF, okay, EF migrations, and then the name of the migration, I would give this as an initial migration. I will just name it as initial. You can give your name, anything you want. And once you do this, it will start building this process of my project. If there are any errors, so there is build error. So yeah, there are a few errors. I think the project was not built initially, so I will build this project once to make it more, the packages were not installed. It just had it just had a reference, so in order to build it, yeah. So again, I'm using upkey again, and yeah, I think it should build now. Yes, you see. And yeah, after I do this, see, the migrations folder has already been created. So in this, you can see actually a class initial that I created, right? And then uh, the name that I added, and you can see within this class there are actually two functions. One is up and one is down. Okay, the up one is quite opposite to down. So you can see on the down there is the drop table of orders, there is the drop table of products, and here you can see like the create table. Okay, create table of products and create table of orders. You can adjust anything you want over here, right? So as you can see, as I said you, the ID went like SQL Server identity with 1, 1, and it became like the primary key. You can see constraint. Within the constraint, you can see this one is the primary key. You have the foreign key, right? And within the orders also, you have the primary key and you have this foreign key references, right? And exact opposite happens in down. So if anything goes wrong with the migration, it will automatically restore back. So this does not mean the generation of file does not mean that the migration has been completed. The database still has nothing. Okay, so now in order to reflect this, in order to mark these changes on the database, what I would do is I would go here and use another command called .NET ef uh, database update. Update, sorry. Yeah. So now after doing this, you can see done over here. That means if you refresh this, you can see the folders, the tables has been created. And you want to see the relation. Okay, let's check it out. So here, refresh this one. I have connected my database on the SQL Management Studio. And here we can generate a new diagram to see actually if our both the tables were connected. So you can see I added, okay. So here you can see now the orders and the products, something like this. Okay, it's sorry. Uh, I don't know why this has been created. Products. Uh, So yeah, this is how we do it. And in order to make the CRUD operation directly, right? What it's quite important, you know, to have this page, right? Let's try to run this application. I think we don't have anything to view in the UI. So let's try to run this application. We can see something like this, right? It has the blank. And now if I want to make the CRUD operation out of this, right, it becomes quite easy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a controller right here. Let's stop this for a while. Okay, and let's add a new controller. Okay, and within this controller, what I will do is I will just use the default entity framework to create the views to make it quick and add it. Okay, and then the model class I can choose order product, right? DbContext class I will use the ef context. Okay, and I will check this generate views. Okay, and use the layout page, and the controller name will be products controller. Okay, so yeah, it is downloading some of the packages and scaffolding the whole view page as well. I believe you know this. You know this feature of the scaffolding, so we don't have to worry about, you know, the UI part. It creates a template, and then we can add, we can modify that template later on. So yeah, it is adding the dependency informations. So now after, see now the generating code, and yep, we have this product controller, and on the views we have the CRUD operations or everything. So by default we are using this. Okay, that's and okay, let's run this now. So if we go products/products on our this URL, right? So slash product products it is, right? You can see index page. You can have create a product. Okay. We can say the name of the product is uh, um, Dell laptop. Okay. You can add the descriptions over here. Okay. And let's say now here's the thing. So if I mark this model as required. So see, this the name of the field. uh, This name field is required, and on the description I marked nothing. So that means we can have the null data. So Dell laptop, okay, and you can see if I add there is max of 20 characters. So it totally reflects the UI as well, right? Yeah, and I will talk about this and more in details later. So, okay, the description field was not required. Anyway, I will um, uh, post some just description and then create it, right? And then create it. What happened? Mm, I think the ID also was the part or not. Maybe there are some error. Yeah, I mean, in this way, I think there was some error, which we can figure it out. Like, you can put a breakpoint over here, and then create maybe, yes, ID, name, and description was required. So this is the reason why we use the view model. So database, uh, the model would reflect the database, and the view model would reflect the view part. Okay, so and the middleware mapping can be done. Anyway, yep. In this case, I think yep. We can figure it out. This operations over here, right? Um, in the next class. Thank you.